Yo everyone, time for podcast lucky number 13. A lot of you viewing this are likely new to the podcast because of how different this thumbnail looks to the other podcast episodes. I did that because this what if has become pretty popular and special. This is a what if, don't worry about it, but it isn't the same as the usual what if you'll see on the channel. So sit back, grab your popcorn and soda, and relax as I tell you guys a really good story. But first, hashtag PlusUltraFam shoutouts to Full Force Gaming, Rose Goku Black, Original Awesome, Daniel Smith, Comic Sans, Ikeda Type 25, Xavier Triggs, Daniel Smith, Cam Worley, Brandon Glover, Tom Gar, Sasuke Uchiha, and the Saiyan King of the Hidden Leaf. Also, we'll be trying out doing one specific what if in the podcast format today. As you read the title, you know what it is, and it's the continuation of what if Sasuke Uchiha was born female. This was suggested by Pedro Jose Bello Belin, and we will not be having any type of recap here, so if you need to have any type of recap, go back and watch the original video and jump back here when you're done. After having Naruto master the water walking exercise, Kakashi Sensei is pretty impressed and pretty much done with training for the day, but Naruto is still raring to go for more. So he has him and Hinata go off to work on improving Naruto's taijutsu, as she'd be the best candidate for it. And of course, Sasuke will bug Kakashi for even more training after this, but the lazy sensei may send her off to go watch over Tazuna and tell her we'll train tomorrow. Hinata would love this alone time with Naruto, and the two would have some genuine bonding time as she corrects and critiques his sloppy taijutsu. He would maybe ask her why she doesn't really like Satsuki, and this actually gets her to stammer and blush like she used to before becoming more confident. She doesn't reveal everything to him just yet, but she gives him enough info that it just sounds like she's a bit jealous of how much stronger Sasuke is than her and all her classmates. Now Naruto can really relate to that and promises Hinata that training together, they'll both surpass Sasuke someday and accomplish their dreams. And so Hinata and Naruto have truly become friends here, which makes them both extremely happy. Naruto because this is one of his first bonds aside from Satsuki and Iruka. And for Hinata, well, she knows a genuine friendship would be the first step to a relationship beyond friendship in the future, and it would make her equal to Satsuki in the eyes of Naruto. Getting back to their training, Hinata would basically be improving Naruto's use of the basic academy taijutsu, but I'm sure she'd get tired before he did because of his immense stamina. So Naruto would practice all night using clones as sparring partners and doubling his experience gains. Because remember, he does know that training through clones helps him to gain faster experience and learn what they learn. As it happened with his tree climbing in the canon story, he'd pass out and in the morning meet the mysterious Haku and have a very similar conversation about strength. Naruto was still confused by Haku's ideals of strength, but having more people that he considered precious to him in this timeline, he can see where the other boy is coming from. Though the reveal of Haku being another boy would still be pretty shocking. Naruto would then do the same thing of training hard into the night during his taijutsu practice and ends up passing out, which would make him late to the battle on the bridge the very next day and allow him to save Inari and his mother. As in canon, Kakashi and Zabuza face off, with Kakashi being more well rested than he was in canon, and Haku takes on Satsuki alone at first before Hinata realizes that she's surrounded by ice mirrors and decides that she wants to go help her. Tazuna gives her his blessing of going to aid her teammate, and off she goes. Satsuki would do a tiny bit better than Sasuke Uchiha did against Haku in canon, especially in this initial back and forth because her Sharingan has been awakened again and she starts off the battle using it, meaning she's able to see Haku's movements a lot better, but she still can't damage the mirrors or match Haku's ice mirror speed. Hinata enters the dome of ice mirrors and takes up the job of defending them from Senbone and telling Satsuki where to attack by using Byakugan and her clan's technique, the rotation. The only problem is her chakra isn't bottomless, and Haku can keep up this onslaught a lot longer than she can defend from it. Naruto finally arrives and makes his grand entrance and then surrounds Tazuna with clones for protection before he himself jumps into the dome of ice mirrors to save his friends. But Naruto also doesn't have much in the way that he can do against Haku except pelt the mirrors with shadow clones and shuriken, which is pretty much useless. Even using kunai with explosive tags and the shadow clone technique on those barely even cracks the mirrors even a tiny bit, so he's mostly in the same position that he was in canon, even though he is much stronger. Hinata is holding nothing back to protect both her teammates, but she's running very low on chakra at this point. Finally, Haku releases a huge flurry of Senbone of the group that she just can't block with rotation anymore, and the Hyuga has no qualms about jumping in front of the attack to protect Naruto and even her rival, Satsuki. but Satsuki's superior speed allows her to usurp this attempt and block the attack herself, as her canon counterpart would do for Naruto. Satsuki is made into a pincushion and collapses back into Hinata's arms. The two then have a very similar conversation to what Naruto and Sasuke did, with Suki explaining that she doesn't know why she did that, and that her body moved on its own. But if she was going to die, she had to tell Hinata that she really respects her as a ninja. While Naruto proceeds to fly into a rage and attack Haku. This causes some of the Nine Tails' power to be unleashed, and it's a lot more than what he would use initially in canon, because remember, he is a bit stronger and his chakra control is also much higher now. So obviously, Zabuza is way more scared of this version of Naruto than he was of the canon version. With a massive haymaker, Naruto not only sends Haku flying and cracks his mask, but he shoots him off much further than he did in canon, and he's actually able to knock him out in one blow. This also means that Kakashi's last lightning blade is a successful kill shot on Zabuza. Thinking that both Haku and Zabuza are dead, Gato reveals himself, but driven by pure rage of his betrayal, Zabuza goes on a rampage with a hole in his chest, cleaving through Gato and his men, and truly living up to the name, Demon of the Blood Mist. He would die as he lived, by killing, but with his last breath, he tells Kakashi to take Haku out of this life and back with him to the Leaf, before he passes away on his feet. After this, Sasuke is revealed to be alive, and the villagers arrive to help fight off the rest of the thugs with Naruto and Kakashi's help. When Haku wakes up, Naruto explains the situation and what had really happened, and decides to help Haku bury his former master and plant his sword as a grave marker. In this moment, Haku feels that Naruto would have been the only other person in the world who could really understand Zabuza the way he did. Naruto then goes to explain that Haku could return to the Leaf Village with them, and Haku does consider this. He tells him that Zabuza told Kakashi to take Haku with them, so it would make sense that he should live. Haku then asks Naruto what his dream is, and upon learning it's to be the Hokage, Haku vows his allegiance to Naruto, and seeing that dream come true. This makes Naruto sweat drop and flick him in the head, and says to find his own dream. The two would then start to bicker, but they're really good friends now. The Great Naruto Bridge is completed in peace, and the group returns to the Leaf Village, where Haku is put into some kind of probation program, where he's watched by Kakashi and Team 7, and then the beginning are told about the Chunin exams. Team 7 had a bit of time to recover in canon, and Naruto and Haku are pretty much okay, other than Haku's face being a little swollen, so they begin training. While the Hyugas are fretting over Hinata's injuries, and the council is doing the same about Sasuke's, meanwhile, Haku wants to help Naruto get faster and learn his chakra nature, but they won't get too far on this. Suki would also be pretty interested in Haku. For one, he can make her stronger through training with him, and for another, he could certainly serve as a strong candidate for a husband. Their Kekkei Genkai together would be very strong, and the stoic girl actually lets him know this, which makes him very nervous as he isn't really interested in her at all. And Naruto is a bit jealous of this. Seeing the two boys' bewildered faces, Satsuki simply explains that her main goal at the moment is avenging her clan, but her duty afterward would be to make sure that she wasn't the last Uchiha. It was just something to keep in mind, but not something she had to truly focus on currently, or even had really thought about since the Uchiha massacre. I think the initial meeting between the Sen siblings goes the same, but let's be nice and say in this timeline, Hinata and Haku are cool and decide to play ninja with Naruto and Konohamaru's friends. Naruto is able to land a solid right hook to Kankuro and knock him on his butt to save Konohamaru, and both Hinata, Naruto, and Haku notice Gar in the tree along with Suki, with Gar wanting all four of their names afterwards. The interaction with Team 9 is also pretty similar to canon, though I think it would be very interesting to see how Hinata and Neji react to each other in this timeline. I imagine that Neji would be completely different from his canon counterpart because of how confident and strong Hinata is in this timeline. She's set to be the head of the clan in this timeline, so Neji's ideas of destiny are only supported by this, so he's likely very submissive to her, while she isn't a fan of that at all and treats him like a friend and an equal, since she probably knows what his father did for her. Rock Lee was still going to challenge Satsuki, but let's spice it up and say that he wagers if he wins, then she has to go out on a date with him. This makes her loss to him all the more embarrassing for her, but she accepts the date nonetheless, and she's at least learned something valuable through the fight. Remember, she's a bit more mature than Sasuke. This, however, does make Naruto kind of fume, and he and Lee will now develop a pretty heated rivalry. The first round of the exams would go pretty much the exact same, but I could see Hinata helping Naruto cheat in some way, and the journey into the Forest of Death is very different. Sasuke orders Hinata to use the Byakugan to keep a lookout, so Oboro cannot really spring his trap on Naruto. Though Hinata likely wouldn't want to watch him use the bathroom, which means that Oboro could attack Naruto during this time, but that said, Naruto is also stronger here, so I'd argue that Oboro's plan still fails in the end. Hinata would also see the grass ninja's wind ninjutsu coming towards them and could help her team avoid it. Everyone is then frozen in fear by her killing intent, but Sasuke will break out of it first and save Hinata while scratching Naruto with a kunai to break him out of it. Remember that Sasuke is more mature and logical than Sasuke was, so her initial reaction is to run, and Hinata wholeheartedly agrees. Naruto, on the other hand, definitely wants to stay and fight, and already being stronger with the Nine-Tails chakra, the grass ninja is much more interested in playing around with him, which causes Satsuki and soon Hinata to attack him as a group, showing the best teamwork they had ever used since this point. But again, Satsuki is much less keen to stay and fight to the death as Sasuke would have been in canon, so she is more logical and less pride-driven than him, and so maintains the same desire to run away, while Naruto is still the only one to truly want to fight, even though he is greatly outmatched. He is, however, very loyal to his friends, so he isn't going to guilt them into staying with them. So Suki uses a kunai when finally presented a chance and makes the deepest cut in the older ninja's belly that she can, while Hinata and Naruto distract her with a gentle fist and a mountain of clones. As gross as it is, Sasuke reaches into her stomach and she actually yanks out the disgusting gut-covered earth scroll. She tells her teammates they have what they need and to book it before throwing down a smoke bomb. Naruto is smart and creates clones, having them jump in all different directions to confuse Orochimaru, for the real versions of them jump away as well. Caught a bit off guard by this, the Sonic stretches out his neck to bite Sasuke, but Hinata's 360-degree vision allows her to throw a kunai at his head that he has to avoid, allowing them to escape and causing Sasuke to blush and thank the other kunoichi. Not wanting to go back there again, the group burn through all the energy they have and race towards the tower at the center of the forest, and with their chakra control as good as it is currently, they're able to make it there very soon and mostly unscathed. Gaara would also take notice of this team that had arrived pretty soon after his team did, and again, pretty much without a scratch. Skipping ahead to when the other teams arrive, the third round starts, and because Sasuke is physically weaker than her male counterpart in canon, she has a bit more trouble with Yoroi, but she has use of her chakra, which allows her to easily win the first round. Naruto doesn't struggle too much against the canon version of Kiba, but it's arguable that since a girl was the top of his class, and Kiba being who Kiba is, he'd have trained harder and been a much stronger version of himself than he was in canon. If this were to happen, I could see this being a true dogfight, and yes, pun intended. In this timeline, Hinata actually defeats Neji pretty easily. He may not be as strong as his canon counterpart, but he wouldn't be too much weaker than him. Because of how Hinata has trained and practiced, it has messed up his ideas that Destiny puts him under her. But she will actually give him her own Talk no Jutsu. Her dream is to change her clan, and this is the first step. Neji had just as much potential as her, and he deserved to act on that potential. In this timeline, she has the confidence to act on her feelings, and so Neji sees the light 1 month earlier than he did in canon. Sakura would actually defeat Ino. They both took training pretty seriously in the academy, but Sakura has a natural talent for genjutsu and has been training with Kurenai, while Ino will still be pretty limited in what she can do. This means there will be an extra contender in the finals, but I'm gonna argue that with Sasuke not having a curse mark at this point, Kabuto does not drop out of the Chunin exams, and so it's decided that he will move on automatically, making him Sakura's opponent in the finals. Every other match will go the exact same, though I could see Zaku versus Shino changing a bit, but Shino can still win in the same method. I will also be leaving the finals matches the same, meaning Hinata versus Naruto and Sasuke versus Gaara, because we just don't have time for randomized matchups in this. For the next month, Sasuke will train with Kakashi, meaning the Chidori will be taught to her, but I think in this timeline, Kakashi enlists the help of Haku for her speed training. So I'd argue that Sasuke gets faster than in canon, since Haku was already pretty fast and after his defeat would have started training to get more speed. That said, Haku really wants to help Naruto train as well, so he's going to be using water clones to help both his friends train, which will be pretty draining. Hinata will be training with her father Hayashi and Neji as a training partner. Their goal is to increase her chakra reserves and hopefully give her more attack potential from long distances with the air palm technique. This would also allow Hinata to bond with Neji and make their relationship a lot better. With Hinata being so much more confident and assertive in this timeline, I don't see Hayashi having too many problems with this, and I could actually see him starting to support his daughter's ideals and her goal. Naruto is still given to Ebisu for training initially, but Naruto's chakra control has been improved a great deal at this point, and Ebisu can't really show him water walking, so he tries to get him to split a leaf with his wind chakra. The situation with Jiraiya still happens, and Jiraiya takes over the training, with Haku appearing soon after to give Naruto advice on wind chakra usage. Naruto again uses clones to aid in his training, and he figures this out pretty easily. It doesn't take a huge amount of time, while Jiraiya moves him on to summoning to further increase his chakra control even more and give him better control over the Nine Tails. 1 month later, the battle between Naruto and Hinata would be cool, but I don't want to focus on it or any other matches for the finals because most of this will be similar to the canon, and we have a lot to cover here in this story, and this is barely a quarter through the story. As for the Sakura versus Kabuto fight, I'm going to say that Kabuto throws the fight to keep his cover. Sasuke and Gaara face off to pretty much the same result, and later, Naruto, Hinata, Sakura, Shikamaru, and Shino pursue Gaara and Sasuke into the woods as the Konoha Crush plan activates. Even though Sasuke is less prideful and battle-hungry than Sasuke was, this was an order from Genma, so she would still follow it as Sasuke did. In this timeline, the third Hokage is not attacked by Orochimaru. Instead, the snake has a much greater prize than the third. So the Hokage commands his shinobi on how to fight off the invasion while providing aid and making the damage and casualties in the village go to an extremely small number. In her next part of the fight with Gaara, Sasuke can't hold out forever, and soon Hinata arrives, being sent ahead like Sakura was in canon, or with Sakura's help, the group could have made it an even better time and arrived as a team. Going with the former over the latter, Hinata and Sakura can't do too much against Gaara when he's possessed, and so Naruto finally makes it to the fight and steals the show by fighting Gaara to the point of his full possession. Once Shukaku is on the battlefield, Naruto summons Gamabunta in attack position. Seeing the scale at which this battle is being fought at, Suki and Hinata are shocked and in awe. But then, the latter of the girls is knocked out as Orochimaru appears and once again offers Sasuke power so that she could accomplish her dream. He preys on her insecurities by saying that Naruto has far surpassed her and directs her to watch the battle with him. The serpent chides her even farther by saying that Naruto has far surpassed her at this point, and as he was so weak beforehand, this was really saying something. She had to just let her knight in shining armor defeat her brother for her. These are just the right buttons to push on the girl, and Orochimaru knows this thanks to his spying on her even longer in this timeline. Sasuke curses herself for needing a handout, but decides to accept Orochimaru's curse mark, as defeating her brother is currently her #1 goal. She passes out like Sasuke did, and Orochimaru retreats while chuckling, and has Kabuto, who hasn't blown his cover yet, keep his eyes on her very closely. Naruto goes on to defeat Gaara and talk no jutsus him into submission and passes out after the Sand siblings retrieve him. The village finds the 3 unconscious members of Team 7, and with the 3rd alive, the search for the 5th Hokage is slowed down, but Danzo is trying for the spot and convinces the council to force Hiruzen's retirement. That does kind of backfire because the council would be like, man, we just fired one old man while we hire another one. Jiraiya would deny the nomination for the title of 5th Hokage, and the search for Tsunade starts. The Sannin would still take Naruto on the trip with him, and the situation with Itachi and Kisame will still happen as it did in canon, and Sasuke goes after Naruto and Jiraiya and ends up confronting her older brother. Hinata is fine but doesn't know about any of this, and then just stays in the village. But if Sasuke wasn't so narrow-minded at the moment, she would have gotten her. I just feel that says a lot about the difference between Satsuki and Sasuke. Like Sasuke did in canon, she flies into a rage at the sight of her brother and attacks Itachi with a Chidori. But this is a ruse. She knows to use what she can at her disposal and calls out to Naruto to keep Kisame busy and out of her battle. This breaks Naruto out of his stupor, where he floods the hallway with clones and begins to attack both men, to Sasuke's annoyance, but she won't waste the opening. This keeps Itachi just busy enough to where he does not break Sasuke's arm from her attempted Chidori and instead smacks it away, while he and Kisame easily eviscerate all the Naruto clones. Jiraiya arrives as he did in canon and saves the Genin, causing the Akatsuki to flee as Itachi is getting pretty tired. When Guy arrives, Sasuke refuses to leave Naruto's side if he'll be attracting her brother again. And speaking of, that brought up a lot of questions. Why did her brother want Naruto anyway? Why was Naruto currently with Asani? The girl is much too perceptive and Naruto is way too dense to think of a lie quick enough to fool her, so he just blurts out that he's a Jinchuriki. Sasuke does what she would usually do in her dynamic with Naruto when they were kids when she wanted something from him, and forces him to talk more by giving him a very unimpressed and unhappy stare that's kind of enhanced by her Sharingan. Jiraiya and Guy facepalm at how whipped the boy was, but now Sasuke is aware of his secret. Without wanting to waste any more time, Jiraiya tells Guy that it's fine for Sasuke to stay with them, and from here, Naruto, Jiraiya, and Sasuke go to finish the mission to retrieve Tsunade without the interference of Orochimaru, since in this timeline, his arms are completely fine. The snake won't be doing anything from here but just spying and studying Satsuki, who would have likely had her curse mark sealed up by now at the encouragement of the village, the council, and Kakashi. Some of the negative side effects of the mark don't seem worth it, but she isn't 100% sold on not using it. When they meet, Naruto and Tsunade make their bet after Naruto fights the old woman and loses extremely easily. Not as easily as in canon, but still pretty easily. It's arguable that with Naruto's chakra control as good as it is now, he would have been able to form a pretty decent Rasengan, but I will still argue that it's only a tiny bit better than the one he actually used at first. Seeing Tsunade's monstrous strength and remembering this woman is a Sannin, just like Jiraiya, Satsuki asks if Tsunade could teach her that. The old woman blows her off and explains that she doesn't train just any 2-bit kunoichi off the street. What she just did takes chakra control of an insane level. And here comes a headcanon chakra control exercise. To show off, Tsunade dips a finger into a glass of water, and when pulling it out, the entire mass of water is stuck to her finger, still in the shape of the glass it was in. Tsunade then begins to let the water flow and roll around her body, and amazingly, it doesn't even leave moisture, showing she was controlling every molecule of the water with her chakra alone. She then made it evaporate and told Satsuki if she could do that, then she'd be worth teaching, and returns to drinking. Satsuki's pride, as rare as it is, rears its head, and she makes a bet with the Slug Sannin as well that she'll perfect that exercise in 1 week. So, Naruto begins training for the Rasengan, while Satsuki trains to use the increased strength technique, and they do this in the same location just because. Naruto speeds up his learning process by using clones to study, but it's still a slow process. Because of this, he gets it sooner than he does in canon, but Satsuki comments that he should learn to do it perfectly and do it one-handed like Jiraiya had showed him to do. To emphasize this point, she holds out a hand and produces her own stable Rasengan perfectly. Naruto's jaw drops and he whines that it isn't fair to copy it with the Sharingan, but Satsuki defends herself by saying as the technique didn't require hand signs, she couldn't copy it with the Sharingan. She just figured the technique out by watching Naruto train and seeing all the steps that went into it. Remember, she was a genius with perfect chakra control, and from that her friend only grumbles and starts trying twice as hard to master the technique. The Uchiha really liked the power of the technique and wasn't going to skip out on learning it. With his best friend able to do it perfectly, Naruto can't let himself get beaten and starts training again, improving his chakra control even more and mastering Rasengan extremely quickly. Suki has much more trouble than Naruto did during her training, but it's still good progress. She can control the liquid but not to the same degree as Tsunade did during her demonstration. The day for the bet comes and the legendary sucker loses to Naruto, but not exactly to Satsuki. That said, Tsunade is pretty impressed with how far and how fast Suki had come and actually does offer to teach her. The group returns to the village with Satsuki wanting to learn more from Tsunade instantly, but the woman is going to be very busy with becoming Hokage and can't waste her time with training just yet and asks Satsuki to be patient. However, patience is something Satsuki is severely lacking in right now. And with Jiraiya leaving the village again, this leaves her with mainly Kakashi for more training. With the lazy Jonin seeing how power hungry she is, and coming off his battle with Itachi, he isn't too keen to teach her anything new right at the bat. Satsuki is different from Sasuke, yes, but not by drastic amounts. She still wants to get stronger and do it very fast, but she does have more patience than Sasuke did. But everyone does have a breaking point. This results in Satsuki getting stressed and angered as she isn't growing strong enough as quickly as she wants to. This will actually make her a lot like the canon Sasuke. She challenges Naruto to a fight to test herself and demeans and embarrasses him to piss him off, even going so far as to be rude to Haku and Hinata. Because of this, her and Naruto go all out, with both doing better than they did in their canon fight at this point before a clash of Rasengan is about to occur. Sasuke even tries wielding both a Rasengan and a Chidori at the same time, but this fails as she does not have high enough chakra capacity. Thankfully, Hinata is able to break them up before the collision using her rotation, but this does cause a massive explosion at Training Ground 7, injuring almost everyone present. Afterwards, Sasuke is chewed out by Kakashi as Sasuke was in canon. That night, the Sound Forward approach Satsuki and try to convince her to accompany them. This doesn't work at first, and she actually puts up a great fight before they activate the level 1 curse mark and gang up on her, causing her seal to break. Naruto has a bad feeling and goes to find Satsuki right before she is about to leave, and the two have a talk like that of Sakura and Sasuke's, but with Naruto being much more heated and in her face about this. In the stress and chaos of the argument, Naruto is forced to sort through his feelings for the girl, and he actually tells Satsuki that he does like her. The girl is embarrassed, curious, and angry about this, but remember she is more logical and thoughtful than Sasuke was. Naruto is her brother's current goal, it seems, and the idiot was kinda strong. Perhaps there was a way they both could win. So she holds out her hand and tells Naruto to come with her to Orochimaru's. He asks her if she was crazy, and she simply says no. This was treason, yes, but she'd be the last Uchiha soon, and he was in Cherokee. They were not indispensable. If both went to Orochimaru, they'd become stronger. He'd also be at her side, meaning she'd get another shot at her brother if he ever came after him again. And she wouldn't have to worry about him trying to quote-unquote save her. Naruto could also get stronger with her and return one day when Itachi was dead. He could then become the greatest Hokage ever with, she blushes and scoffs, with her as his wife if he played his cards right. She even explains that she has no intention of letting Orochimaru have her body. They bring his and Itachi's heads back to the village as a peace offering when they were done. Since they were both wanted criminals associated with the Leaf, this would be kind of like an extended S-rank mission for them. Now understand something. This proposition isn't made to Naruto because Sasuke understands his feelings. He, like Orochimaru, is a means to an end to her, even though she is his best friend. As a clan heiress, she was taught that a marriage didn't have to be out of love, but that it can be made for one's ambitions. She knows she can't beat Naruto quickly or knock him out, and he'd mess up her journey to Orochimaru's. Not just that, he had a strange way of making her train harder when he was around, and his way of training with clones made this even better now. Not to mention, he honestly could be a good candidate for a husband as strong as he was. As for Naruto, against his better judgment, he is considering everything she just said, and as much as he hates it, he does kinda agree. It makes sense. With this plan, they would both win. Also, he and Sasuke are childhood friends, and if he can't get her to stay with him, he feels like he may need to go with her. And he'd be getting stronger, and he'd be able to be with her. I saw some concerns that this story revolves around romance a lot, and I'm sorry, but these are just the character motivations I think would make the most sense. And if you think about the whole Obito and Ren thing, the main plot of Naruto is about romance. Not saying that makes it good writing, I'm just saying if I'm writing in the perspective of Kishimoto doing an alternate timeline, that would be kind of how I try to do it. I'm also running off the idea that at the Waterfall of Truth, we see that Naruto did have a bit of resentment for the village, and this is after he's had a bit more time to mature. So with this in mind, I think it is kind of not too far-fetched to say he may be willing to leave the village, especially with the prospect of returning one day as a hero. So with a heavy heart and a few more attempts to get her to reconsider, Naruto growls and accepts Suki's offer. He then awkwardly blushes and hugs her, and making her blush and punch him. The two then leave the Sound 4 after a quick explanation, and Satsuki has Naruto create clones to go around and confuse any trackers as she enters the jar to complete her curse mark. This will be a tense journey for Naruto as he has to mostly make it alone with only the company of the Sound 4, but he grits his teeth and bears it and just hopes the note he left will ease everyone's pain as he and Suki leave. By the morning, the tracks are so complicated, even the Jonin trackers of the Leaf aren't able to catch up to the Sound 4 and Naruto, and they make it back to the Sound Village. Orochimaru is elated to see that he now has Sasuke in his grasp, as well as the Nine-Tails brat, without sacrificing any of his own pawns, and he is more than happy to accept Naruto as his student as well. We'll now have a 2.5-year time skip, with those in the village training harder than in canon, as two of their friends have left the village instead of just Sasuke. Hinata is definitely the angriest out of everyone, since she'd come to see Sasuke as a friend and still has her feelings for Naruto, who she had also become very good friends with. She trains extremely hard, even studying under Tsunade full time and fully mastering the gentle fist taijutsu style after mixing it in with some of her new medical ninjutsu skills, like strength and chakra scalpels. This makes her extremely powerful and deadly, and she quickly becomes a Jonin along with her stronger cousin, Neji. Haku is also pretty angry, but more that Naruto didn't take him along with him than anything else. He is added to Team 7 and promoted to Chunin automatically as Naruto's replacement, and he also trains with Hinata and Neji, as well as increasing his ability to fight in close range and his speed by training with Rock Lee and using training weights. Haku also furthers his Ice style, Wind style, and Water style ninjutsu, and also reaches the rank of Jonin. As for our two heroes in the Sound Village, well, their training has also been extremely tough. Satsuki is basically a female version of the time skip version of Sasuke, but her chakra control is still way better, and she can still use some of Tsunade's strength on top of it. As her chakra control improves even more, she's able to put even more of her strength on top of that, as well as using a lot of speed from her speed training from Haku, and possibly a fire style Rasengan, but I'll get into that a little bit later. She is literally and generally a lot stronger than the canon version of Sasuke at this time, but because of Naruto being there. For their training, she pushes him even harder as he pushes her, and they both went to train with Orochimaru, stronger than their canon versions already, and they also have his shinobi enhancement drugs on top of that. Naruto is much stronger than his canon version because he is doing more than just working with the Nine-Tails chakra or bigger Rasengans. By using Shadow Clones for training, he can learn anything given to him extremely quickly, and I would argue that if Orochimaru knew the Rasengan was an incomplete jutsu, he would help Naruto and Suki to complete it, mostly to add the technique to his own library. Not to mention there are all the wind style and secondary nature techniques that Naruto can learn, and he could be taught to use combo techniques with clones, like maybe having one clone use the fire style fireball jutsu, while another uses the great breakthrough. On top of all this, I think he would still learn more about controlling the Nine-Tails chakra from Orochimaru, and to greater effect, to the point that Naruto could probably access and control up to 4 tails of chakra at will. Oh, and let's say he also learns to use weapons. I'll get into that a bit later though. I'm not 100% sure how to power scale these two, but at the moment, let's say they're both around equal to Sasuke when he fought the 5 Kage. Like I said, this training would make them insanely strong, and by seeing how strong Naruto is, Sasuke will be getting even stronger, and Naruto has the clones to train, and yada yada, you get the point. In the department of character development, Sasuke also gets a lot more comfortable and excited about the idea of being and maybe even marrying Naruto as time moves on. I liken their relationship to that of Minato and Kushina when they were younger, and that still stands now. So Sasuke isn't as closed off, and Naruto and her deepen their friendship a lot more and more, and this makes their relationship build off naturally until romance is starting to slowly blossom. Remember, for the last 2.5 years, they've been the only people that they can trust, and they had been good friends before this. It's only natural that your bond with this person that you're also attracted to would start to deepen and become more romantic. But they're not truly even dating right now. This is more puppy love. The 5th Kazekage is still attacked and he is still Gaara, but I'm going to argue that this amazingly powerful Team 7, with the addition of the ninja named Sai, and Team 9 as well, as not running into Kisame and Itachi as a distraction, they are able to save the Kazekage before his tailed beast is taken, and attack Deidara and Sasori as a group, defeating both shinobi when Sasori gives up and Deidara uses his suicide attack, with everyone escaping on Gaara's sand clouds. This is also when Gaara learns of Naruto's departure from the village, making him extremely sad and launching his own kind of crusade against the Sound Village. With Naruto's not still on Squad 7, I don't see Kisame and Itachi tracking them down to attack them. Instead, they track Naruto down at a Sound Village and attack it. Orochimaru, Kabuto, Satsuki, and Naruto fight them off, with Itachi paying special attention to how strong the former two have gotten and how well they are working together in their bond. The only reason Sasuke is willing to fight Itachi in a group is because through Naruto's influence, she has come to care more about killing Itachi at all, rather than her being the one to kill him solely by herself. He tests his younger sister and her friend more and more. He decides to cast Amaterasu on Orochimaru to hopefully take him out here and now. Orochimaru takes heavy damage from the attack, but after shedding his skin a few times, he is able to avoid the black flames before they actually touch his real body. Itachi then takes Naruto into a genjutsu with him and begins to interrogate him about his bond with Satsuki. He quickly sees that Naruto truly does care about her and comes to take a liking to him, before deciding to give Naruto some of his power to help him better protect Satsuki while with Orochimaru. Feeling his fatigue, the loyal Kisame decides to retreat with Itachi, and the Akatsuki is gone. Orochimaru is still damaged and drained from the battle, and so Kabuto tends to him, while Naruto and Satsuki consider taking Orochimaru out now. Instead, they decide to wait a bit more to learn a few more things from him and let him get a bit weaker, while Hinata and Team 7 follow up on Sasori's lead and meet up with Kabuto on the bridge. This leads to a similar situation with Captain Yamato and the others meeting up with Sai at the base, where they meet Sasuke and Naruto. Both of them are much more apologetic than Sasuke was in canon, and ask for everyone to leave while they can. Once Itachi was dead, they will return to the village and pay for their actions. Hinata yells at the two in pure fury, and she actually has a quick scuffle ensue from this, before Satsuki uses a genjutsu on her. It looks like the rest of the Leaf will try and fight, but Haku actually betrays the Leaf and paralyzes his team with Senbon. Haku then kneels before Naruto and declares that his loyalty was still to him before even the village. Naruto argues with Haku about this, but Sasuke convinces him to allow Haku to accompany them, as he could help out big time, and Orochimaru is all the more happy to have a very rare Kekkei Genkai in his collection. Later on, Satsuki, Naruto, and Haku turn on an even weaker Orochimaru than in canon and seemingly kill him. And with Naruto canonically not liking Kabuto, and that probably be turned up a dial in this timeline, since he would learn that he was a spy much later, he would like him even less. So he actually convinces Sasuke to take him out as well, instead of just leaving him. He'd also be another good payment for their sins when returning to the Leaf. Yes, this is a dark decision for Naruto to make, but this timeline has made him a bit more adult and serious, and he's kind of embracing some of his darkness a bit more. With that done, Suki still has her idea of forming the Heavy, especially with seeing how powerful Itachi's partner Kisame is in their last battle, and wanting to finally fight her brother, who she had noticed was seemingly weaker and easier to tire in the last battle, alone. She also didn't want Naruto or Haku to be hurt during this battle, so more allies were kind of necessary at this point. So, Naruto and Haku are joining the team to serve the same role as Suigetsu before moving on to collect Jugo, Suigetsu himself, and Karin, who bonds with Naruto by being Uzumaki and not feeling so alone anymore. I could actually see these two developing a brother and sister type relationship, and she'd likely also be very protective of Naruto and yet a bit freaked out by the feeling of his and the Nine-Tails chakra, while Jugo takes a liking to Naruto like he did to Kimaru, who would have lived until dying of his illness in this timeline. Naruto is very resolute, but not as stoic as Kimaru. His only problem is that he's a bit rowdy, but I still see Jugo respecting him and Satsuki a lot and really caring about them. And speaking of Kimaru, it's possible that with Orochimaru dead and the Sound 4 alive, they may also join the Heavy. But if not, I could see them going their separate ways to be rogue ninja and just do their own thing. I also see a lot of beef between Suigetsu, Naruto, and Haku about defacing Zabuza's grave. This would be a very fun character conflict, and I really wish we would have seen something like this. Since Satsuki is the boss of the group, she declares that Haku has final say on who gets the sword, and Haku decides if the sword just has to move from its current spot, then Naruto will be the one to take it. Naruto easily picks up the blade and wields it with one hand like Zabuza used to and tells Suigetsu to come at him anytime if he really wants it, effectively making the two rivals. This could actually lead to a detour where Suigetsu goes to get one of the other 7 ninja swords, but I'm not 100% sure where they were at the moment. This would be a reason to call a 5 Kage summit, as 2 Leaf Ninja had just led an attack on the Land of Water to steal sacred treasures, so we'll say that this does happen. The Heavy then go off to defeat Itachi like in canon, but Kisame isn't allowing Naruto or the others to go with Satsuki while she takes on Itachi. The Uchiha is fine with this and tells her team to be alive when she returns. She then hugs Naruto and Haku and goes off to defeat her brother. In this timeline, instead of waiting for someone to get froggy, Kisame sees an opportunity to capture the Nine-Tails and instantly goes after Naruto, starting off their fight. I'm sure Suigetsu and Haku would interfere a ton during this fight though. Haku to protect Naruto, and Suigetsu to defeat Kisame and take his blade. Jugo likely wouldn't step in unless things are looking truly dire like he did in canon, which they don't right now, and Karin is on standby for healing. Now Kisame is extremely strong, and I'm not trying to downplay that, but so is this version of Naruto, and Kisame is also getting outnumbered and a bit overwhelmed. Naruto and Haku alone would likely have some amazing teamwork, and the combos they can make with Haku's Ice Style and Suigetsu's Hydrification make them a very deadly combo as well. Kisame can definitely hang with them for a very long time though, because he's Kisame, the tailed beast without a tail. But at the most, Kisame would actually have to fuse to summon Hata to really take on Naruto and company and dominate them. He could try to totally drain Naruto like he does to B in canon, but I'd argue that B is a little more eccentric than Naruto, so Naruto might not let that happen. And while yes, Kisame could be cutting through all of Suigetsu and Haku's chakra techniques, there's still the physical threat of Naruto there to capitalize on those distractions. With Kisame's sword gone, Naruto also puts his away. Now no, Naruto isn't exactly equal to Guy with 7 gates open in his base form, but his controlled Four Tails cloak would make Naruto pretty dangerous, and again, you've got the backup of Jugo and the others. Naruto holds nothing back, and using his wind chakra, in a roar, he pushes Haku and Suigetsu away from him so he can finish Kisame off. He tackles Kisame to the ground and wraps his elongated chakra claws around the both of them. He then fires off a point-blank chakra gun into the man's face. This blows up the area and damages Naruto out the most, but all his other teammates are mostly fine. So I'm going to argue that Kisame dies here, and Itachi dies in the same way as in canon, unlocking Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan and everything else that happened in that battle, like the loss of the curse mark. Sasuke is much stronger, and Itachi's illness has ran its course a bit further than in canon, so I could see Sasuke maybe asking Itachi how long he's been sick, and maybe trying to get more answers out of him before his death. Naruto rushes to her as soon as Kisame is dead and his wounds are healed by Karin. Suigetsu picks up the grieving Samehada, and Haku picks up the Executioner's Blade to give back to Naruto later on. Naruto and the others then reach Sasuke and comfort her as Tobi appears and offers to nurse everyone back to full health. Naruto declines this offer for Sasuke and asks Karin heal her as he does not trust the Akatsuki one bit. He isn't stupid and knows that the Akatsuki would turn on him even if they did become buddy-buddy. Tobi tells Satsuki and everyone else the truth about Itachi in an attempt to get her on his side, but Naruto convinces her that she should still return to the village no matter what, as that's what Itachi would have wanted. He gave his life for it, and they'd done all this just to go back in the end. And once again, Sasuke is more logical, and it just doesn't make sense to try and destroy something that your brother, who you really loved and respected, gave his life for. Instead, Naruto convinces Sasuke that they need to go after this Danzo guy and do it the right way under the law. Sasuke agrees to this reluctantly, but tells Naruto that they're going to have a lot of trouble getting away from the Akatsuki, so they act as if they are joining the Akatsuki, but decide to return to the Leaf Village as soon as possible, and offer the bodies of Kabuto, Orochimaru, and Itachi as some sort of peace offering at the village gates. That said, Naruto, Sasuke, and the others bring Itachi's body back in a casket, and offer him as a hero to the Hidden Leaf. While being detained, the two start a campaign to expose Danzo and receive the help of their friends in the Leaf and the still living third Hokage. With these accusations and at the behest of the former third Hokage, Danzo is put under official investigation by the Land of Fire, but the search comes up with very little other than some testimony. But the old man Danzo is still very angry about this, as he feels like he's about to be exposed. Naruto, Sasuke, and their team serve jail time where they get yelled at by just about everyone who knows them. Hinata is still the most angry about everyone and about a ton of other things. She has a very long conversation about everything with all of Team 7, Haku, and Kakashi included, where everyone sorts out their problems. Kakashi feels betrayed and uncared for like Hinata does, but to a more mature degree. He's kind of been through this before. He's just happy his students are alive and in the village again at the very least. When finally given a chance to explain themselves, Naruto and Sasuke explained that they saw Team 7 as a family, but they felt they had to leave to do what they had to do. This conversation also reveals that Sasuke and Naruto are pretty much a couple now, and Hinata finally accepts this and congratulates her teammates on the relationship, as well as welcoming them home to the Leaf. That night, a root ninja attacks Sasuke and the Hebi in prison, and with their chakra currently sealed, he thinks this will be a very easy mission. The next morning, that root ninja is on the ground dead, while the individual members of the Hebi are outside their cells, sitting around in the ground, playing a card game. They explain they could have escaped at any time, but they decide not to as they were guilty, and also offer this body as more evidence against Danzo. Later on, Jiraiya dies in an investigation in the Rain Village, which still does hurt Naruto emotionally, but nowhere near as bad as it did in canon. I'm going to say that Hidan and Kakuzu still kill Asuma, but Hidan is killed by Shikamaru and the rest of Team 10 in Retribution, and we'll also say that Team 10 is a bit stronger, since Ino is a bit stronger, and the rest of the team may have been training a bit more, since Naruto and Sasuke did leave as well. That said, Kakuzu is way out of everyone's league and forces everyone to retreat before leaving himself, as Naruto and the others have not been released from jail yet, and as such, did not join this mission. If they had, they probably would have been able to defeat him. This means at the moment the Akatsuki is only made up of Pain, Konan, Zetsu, Kakuzu, and Tobi. Fukasaku approaches the Leaf with the knowledge he has from the Rain Village, but as Naruto does not know Jiraiya as well in this timeline, it would take them a lot longer to decipher his message, or it could be impossible. But let's say that Kakashi figures it out just to be nice. Either way, Naruto must now go to learn Senjutsu with Fukasaku, and Sasuke can't come, making them split up for the first time in the last 2.5 years. Though she can definitely understand what it means to now be an Avenger for Naruto, since he has to do it himself. She also wants to continue the campaign against Danzo and practice some of her Mangekyo powers while he's gone, since the team will now be on probation for very good behavior. I also see no real reason to have Naruto's Sage training change in any major way. Meanwhile, Kakuzu and Tobi are sent to capture Killer B, but B defeats Kakuzu and forces Tobi to go all out before escaping himself to get some free time. Pain and Konan attack the Leaf Village, but they have a much harder time as the Hebi is released from prison at this time and are here to protect the village along with the Leaf. And Tsunade doesn't have to work so hard through Katsuyu with Karin's help to go around and heal her shinobi. I'm also going to say that a few more of the paths or Pain are defeated or at least injured than were taken out in canon, and the one taken out by Konohamaru is definitely going to get taken out here. You could argue that he'd be weaker, but I'd argue that with his grandfather alive, he's actually gotten a lot stronger through his training. Kakashi is also saved by working with Sasuke, and Sasuke summons Aota to fight the animal path and uses the Mangekyo and the awakening Susanoo to battle until her eyes begin to fail her. Because of this, the casualties are at a bare minimum, and because Pain does not know that Naruto is not in the village, he does not decide to destroy it. Naruto rides with the Toads and takes on the remaining paths of Pain, and is actually able to do a lot better, now using Sage Arts and the Frog Kumite on top of the power he had already gained through training with Orochimaru and Satsuki. That said, at some point, even as a more powerful version of himself, Naruto, Ma, and Pa are overwhelmed, and Naruto is pinned down as he and Pain talk to each other. Unable to stand by, Hinata and the nearly blind Satsuki arrive to help Naruto, and with perfect teamwork and Hinata directing Sasuke on how to move since she can't use her eyes right now, they are able to get extremely close to unpinning Naruto. But with Hinata having to fight basically for two people and Sasuke not having use of her eyes right now and Pain still being as strong as he is, they just can't hold out for too much longer. Pain is able to pick them up into the air and slam them down on the ground just as he did to Hinata in canon, but Hinata is able to throw Sasuke out of the way just for they are both killed and save her life. Naruto sees this and loses his cool and unleashes up to 8 tails of chakra before meeting his father and being calmed down, as well as learning his own origin. Naruto would then move on to defeat Pain like he did in canon, but we'll say he does it a lot earlier than he does in canon. He then goes off to find Nagato and Konan, and there the two reconcile, and Nagato still decides to revive those who had died during the battle. But since this is a number that is pretty low in this timeline, Nagato is actually able to hang on to his own life for a tiny bit longer, and he and Konan leave to allow the other Uzumaki to die a peaceful death. Because she did not use all her chakra, Tsunade does not go into a coma, and the 5 Kage summit is held with her attending it as the 5th Hokage. Danzo is still named as a suspect for the Konoha crush, and a lot of his other crimes come to light, causing him to be sentenced to death. The 5 nations agree to form an alliance to truly eradicate the Akatsuki once and for all by sending a powerful force of ninja after them. Naruto and Sasuke are still recuperating, and we get a scene of Naruto comforting her as Danzo's sentencing is done and her brother's name is cleared. Her heart is now pretty much at peace, and she's ready to move on in life. During this, Tobi goes to retrieve the Rinnegan from Nagato's body and kills Konan in the process. He and Zetsu are going to try and put up a last stand with Tobi using the 6 paths technique on the dead Jinchuriki. Also, keep in mind that with Killer Bee never being captured and his tentacle not being in the possession of the Akatsuki, and Kinkaku and Ginkaku never being revived because of Kabuto's earlier death, this means that it is impossible for Tobi to win without capturing the 8 and 9 tails directly. Because of this, Naruto and Bee are still sent to train to keep them out of the battle, just in case, while Satsuki joins the mission to defeat the Akatsuki along with Hinata and Haku, as well as the Hebi and other strong Leaf Shinobi and members of the other 4 nations best. Sasuke has decided to take Itachi's eyes and awaken her Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan for this fight, and she fights hard but is fatally injured against her foes. Hinata tries to heal her, but while Satsuki is on the brink of death, she actually comes to meet with the Sage of 6 Paths. He doesn't explain himself too much and just decides to give her a Rinnegan eye, but the sage also neglects to tell her the whole idea of reincarnation, as it really does not matter to him in this timeline. With this increased power, Sasuke is able to go on to defeat Tobi, and soon Naruto, hearing what was actually going on, appears on the battlefield at high speed, having befriended Kurama. Since he has already gained his respect by controlling so much of his chakra already and going down the path of darkness and yet allowing his own light to shine, he and Naruto have come to a pretty decent understanding. This allows Naruto and the Nine Tails to become friends as they understand each other a lot better, and so Naruto has mastered the Nine Tails chakra. Naruto then goes on to defeat Zetsu with a Tailed Beast Rasen Shuriken, completely disintegrating Zetsu and Black Zetsu along with him. And this basically ends all the threats. There are no reanimations because Kabuto is dead, Obito and Black Zetsu are completely dead, the threat is gone and the world is at peace. The 5 nations would also likely begin to slowly come together and become really peaceful as well, as they basically just save the world together. The only other conflict I could really see happening here is how we're going to get the Tailed Beast back and how they build divided up. But I feel like interference from the Sage of 6 Paths could help that happen as well by just doing the same thing he did for Naruto without him having to almost die here. From here, people begin to lead pretty happy lives. Hinata goes on to change the Hyuga clan as its new head, and for the better. She also settles down with somebody she loves. Haku remains in the village doing the same as do the rest of the Hebi. In the aftermath of Naruto and Sasuke's battle, they are hailed as heroes and would go on to live their own lives as they'd always dreamed them, peaceful and in the village surrounded by their friends. This time also allows their relationship to blossom even more, and they are soon married to each other as Naruto begins to study to become the next Hokage, and Sasuke begins her next big mission of restoring her clan with their first child, Itachi Uzumaki. Now I'm actually going to leave the timeline off here for now because I have not read Boruto and I don't know where to take the story, and if I did go any further, Boruto still isn't done yet, so this will still be an incomplete timeline, and I kind of just want to leave it here and let it be pretty much perfect in my eyes. I know there were some people who didn't like the initial part of this scenario, but I hope the ending was a bit better. This was my first attempt at any kind of story like this where you change the character's gender, and it actually does change the story for them, and I was trying to make it as respectful and as well written as possible. I think I did a decent job, and I think a lot of you enjoyed it as well, because this again is one of the most highly requested podcast with this I've ever done. That said, I did consider some of the criticisms I got in that first part, and I tried to improve the writing as much as possible. Like the whole Sasuke romance plot, I also was kind of weirded out for it at the beginning of it, but as I went on and thought about kind of the character motivations, it got more and more natural and believable to me as I wrote it, and I'm hoping you guys also felt the same way and are kind of endeared by that relationship between Sasuke and Naruto. While I have a chance, big shout out to Oxnagadaba for sending me over some podcast gameplay of Shinobi Striker, I'm pretty sure the game is called. I wanted something that can kind of be related to a female Sasuke instead of just showing you like blazing ninja gameplay or something like that, and this worked. Also, remember, I am not an expert at Naruto lore because the story has always been a bit convoluted to me and kind of confusing, so it's extremely possible I messed something up, so feel free to yell at me in the comments. It'll fill the algorithm and it'll, help me get better. I also had my buddy Tyler check the script to see if I made any too egregious or, whatever it's called, errors. And he signed off on it, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay. So big shout out to him. Please go support his channel and Oxnagadaba. I've linked both of their descriptions and stuff, and their links into the description below. So please do go and support these guys because they are friends of mine and they are helping me out on my channel. That said, I just want to remind you guys to keep in mind that these podcast what-ifs are not heavily researched. They are supposed to be a lot more laid back, fun, and story-driven, just for something for you guys to sit back, maybe play a video game too. Some of you guys have even told me that you sleep to these, and that's all I'm really trying to do is give you something you can just relax to and not really have to be too active when you're watching it. Some people even told me they study these, so I'm just trying to give you something to calm down and relax to, and that's basically what this is. A few more things before I can let you guys go. Number one, please do comment and tell me how you felt about the writing. Was it too lax? Was it too quick? I know these can be kind of rushed and these can be kind of TLDR because I am trying to get through as much of this story as possible, especially with this one because I didn't want to be told like, hey, go and revisit that. I want to see the end of that timeline. I want to try and get this one done as quick as possible, so I hope this was enough, even though it was kind of rushed in some parts. But yeah, let me know how you felt about it. Was the romance and that stuff too abundant? I kind of felt like since Kishimoto, kind of relied heavily on that for Obito's motivations and a few other characters' motivations, it kind of worked for Naruto and Sasuke in this format. If you guys didn't like that, let me know. Let me get to be a better writer. Did you enjoy doing one episode in one podcast? Now, full disclosure, we're probably never going to have a 50-minute plus podcast ever again where I'm just doing one what if. That's just because I kind of fell in love with this story. I kind of fell in love with the script I had written. And as I was just writing the next part for it, I was like, oh, I'm going to go overboard with this, aren't I? When I got done, it was almost like 7,000 words plus, so I knew this was going to happen. This will probably be a very rare thing, but I probably won't be doing this for any other podcast. But yeah, we are going to make some changes, so I'm going to leave some polls into the iCard, you guys. Let me know if you like doing one podcast or one what if per podcast. This allowed me to be a lot more detailed and get a lot more of the story done. I like it, but we can go back to doing 3 what ifs per podcast or whatever you guys really want to do. Other than that, another huge shout out to Jose Pedro Bello Belin. This was originally his suggestion, and I think he made a really good one. And when I initially thought about it, I wasn't too interested in the idea, but as I went further and further with it, it did become a really cool what if idea. So please show him some love if you see him in the comments. Tell him you like the story, tell him you didn't like the story, whatever you're going to do. Just don't be rude to him. This is a really cool thing for me to do, and it's a really cool writing exercise as well. If you guys want to get your own what if suggestions done, since a lot of you are probably new for this video or just don't know how to do it yet, I'll go in depth right now to tell you how to do it. So to do a what if in the podcast, you have to comment with the hashtag #PlusUltraFam. A lot of you keep doing +Ultraman. It is not man, it is fam, F-A-M. Hashtag #PlusUltraFam. The P, the U, and the F are capital. That is all you have to do. Then you just comment your what if idea and bing bada boom, you're done. That is about it. So without further ado, shout out to my patrons and be sure to post your own what if scenarios like I just told you. And as always, be sure you are taking care of yourselves and go beyond plus ultra. See you guys next time.